Hi, Nancy. It's so nice to meet you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. It's great to meet you as well.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Nancy, thank you so very much for being here. And thank you for saying yes to the invite. And thank you for your understanding. Okay, but you see, there is something I love to say all the time for my guests, and I always thank them for two main things. Number one, Nancy, I want to thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some months back, Nancy, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there is a mango tree, and the mango tree didn't catch my attention. Why? Because it's got no mangoes on it. It's all dry and looking not attractive at all. Then I just walked past it. But you see, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around, the mango tree caught my attention from a distance. And I got the urge to, move closer and have a good look. Then when I got closer, it wowed me because this time around it's got a lot of mangoes on it, and not just mangoes but ripe mangoes on it, and it looks so beautiful and attractive. you know the point is the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing person that you are today. That alone attracted me to you. And you see, while I was reading a little bit about you, I was excited about the things I saw, that I just couldn't take my eyes off it. And that's why you got the request to be on the show, because I've got to benefit from these amazing things I'm reading about you. So thank you for investing in yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite, because if you had said nope, there was nothing I can do about it. So thank you so very much. I truly appreciate it. So yeah,
Thank you and looking forward to this.
yeah, beautiful. So let's get started. You see, Nancy, I am quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. All right. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. You see, I believe in order to move from a terrible situation to a beautiful one, Nancy, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, not just knowledge acquisition now, but knowledge application. And you see, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge, and darkness means ignorance. I've been so keen to knowledge seeking, Nancy, because I do not want to remain in the dark. Okay. Now, the second reason why I'm excited to have you on the show, Nancy, is for the sake of the listeners. You see, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there, how to do this and how to do that. So these amazing folks trust me for quality information. That's why when I was going through your profile and reading about you, I was excited about the things that I saw, because I believe our conversation is not only going to be insightful, but also impactful. So for that reason, Nancy, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. We're just so curious. We want to know how you got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Nancy, over to you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. What a nice introduction. I love the use of metaphors that you have
Okay,
there.
see?
One of the when you were talking about knowledge in particular, I sometimes think about stars. I love the sky. And so I look at stars and I find that if I look directly at them, I can't always see them, but if I look somewhat to the side, then they appear. And so that ability to have peripheral vision and to then see connections, whether it's stars or bits of knowledge, has been really important for me over the years. So that's something that as I think about my past, it keeps coming back, ways to make connections across odd objects or pieces of knowledge. But a really quick background. I think I moved around a lot as a child, and every now and then I'll sit down and count how many different houses or places I lived in, and then it was 15 or so by the time I got out of college. So I had to deal with a lot of change over time, and I got used to the idea of change. And that was one core. And then the second piece was this incredible curiosity that my family, I'm lucky to have a wonderful family that was always asking questions. And so this pulling together interests and knowledge in different fields, from the arts to political science to archaeology, all of these different pieces I was very curious about growing up. So when I went to college and then I went to graduate school, I never had a single focus. Maybe that's a drawback, but I never had one single focus. I put together three different disciplines and created my specialty at all levels. So bachelor's, master's degree, and PhD. And so that bringing together of different disciplines has been a core for me over time. So that was kind of academics. And then I was able to get into an academic position at a university here in Boise, Idaho, which when I joined 30 years ago, no one had ever heard of. I came for 1 year and I've been here for 30. But what I loved about it is it was so small and so entrepreneurial that I could do things here that I would never have been able to do at bigger universities in the United States, at least. So, for example, I was able to get an international business program started for undergraduate students. And then later, I was able to do this major 10-year-long project in Vietnam that I never had the opportunity in most other universities. Then I've been able to help form a program that we're very successful and proud of, Executive Masters of Business. And so during that process, I realized that I'm really an academic entrepreneur. So once again, the ability and the opportunity to put together new programs, new fields, I find that absolutely fascinating. So as I look back on that, as well as on the research that I've done over the years, I find that I'm best at the bottom part of a curve where things are starting and getting going, and I can see the vision. Once they become ongoing, they're running well, a program or an area of research that lots of people do, I can't compete anymore. So I get out and start something new.
Amazing. You see, you mentioned some of my favorite words. Let's start with the part where you mentioned curiosity. And now I understand why you are this amazing, because curiosity brings about some amazing features in people, and it makes them really excellent in what they do or what they are doing. And no wonder you've gone this far because of your curiosity and wanting to ask questions and all of that. So I appreciate that. And secondly, the part where you mentioned the things that you've done helping individuals like undergraduate and international business stuff, that's amazing. And when I listen to people talk, Nancy, I'm always curious about the motive behind what they're doing. I'm always very curious. I don't know, why is this person doing what he or she is doing? And it's so good to discover the amazing reason behind yours, and which is to impact others and to help people. And that's a great one. So I'm going to pick the first question from where you stopped. All right. So you've had a successful academic career as a distinguished professor. So what inspired your shift to exploring new creative challenges? Can you talk to us about that?
Well, we can talk about creative challenges in the academic world, and I think you've nailed it right there. I get bored, and so after I spent so much time working in Vietnam, I needed a research area, and I probably spent 2 years looking around for something and settled on one. And then after 6, 7 years, I moved to another one. So it's kind of built in to me naturally that every so often I change. I just need to look for it. I think the more recently, as a professor, you have to write articles and books. And I did that for a long, long time. And then I decided during the pandemic, actually, I really wanted to learn how to write fiction. And I thought, I've been a writer for 30 years. I know how to do this. And I'm shocked at how difficult it is, how challenging it is, but when it's going well, how much fun it is. So this morning before talking to you, I'm rereading things I write, and it's almost as though I don't know how I got them down on paper after all that struggle. And now they're actually sounding a little bit better than I thought they were. So again, it's back to the curiosity, to the learning of how can I become more efficient, effective in this new endeavor because it's taking me much more time than I want it to, but I'm learning. So years and years ago, I came up with a personal mantra, if I can remember it now, that is do good work, which means do work that's high quality, but also do work that matters, that makes a difference. Work with good people, learn a lot, and have fun. And so when I'm looking at a project, if 3 of those 4 things are there, absolutely, you do it. If 2 of them are there, maybe, kind of depends on what they are. If I can work with good people, it doesn't really matter what the project is. That's just a lot of fun and I can learn. So that's part of what drives me is this constant interest in other things, back to curiosity. And when you started this morning, this interview, you said you look at how people invest in themselves. And I get that. I was going to argue with you, but now I think I agree with you on one level on that. But I think it's investing in other people that really is where I've tried to work my hardest. And as you say, international business program, other academic programs. In Vietnam, we trained 80 some people in a master's of business. And those people have gone on to be professors as well as business people and leaders in Vietnam. And to see that kind of an impact on, I hope, making the world a little better, that really is a big driver for me.
That's amazing. I love that. And yes, it is the complete truth, you see, because just like when I discovered the truth, I used to find it difficult. That's some years back. Okay. I used to find it difficult to love other people until I then sat down and realized that that's because I do not love myself. And I discovered that I cannot give out what I do not have. So if I want to invest in other people or help other people, I've got to help myself first. Then when it occurred to me, then I understood it. Okay, now here we go. I've got to learn how to love myself so I can extend it to others. So I love that part and I love what you're doing, how you're focused on impacting the world. It's amazing. So I'm just curious, was it easy for you to embrace being a beginner again in a new field? How was it like?
What a fabulous question. And that's right on the nose. So I am also older. I have a crazy family, tennis family. All my 2 sons and my husband are huge tennis players, always have been. Said I need to learn it. And I would try every 10 years and take a lesson for 2 days. Well, a couple years ago, I decided I should really try to learn how to play tennis. So here I am as a total beginner in an athletic, and I'm not an athlete, something physical. I'm a total beginner in learning fiction. And what it did is exactly what you're saying. I had to go back to being a beginner and listen to how many times I had to hear something or feel something or do something before I made any progress. I'd like to think it's made me a better teacher. So when I go into, now I teach only very senior business people in this executive program. And what I may talk about is something I know and I've talked about, taught for years. For them, it's new. And so I think my patience level has gone up for them, maybe not for myself as much as I wished, but certainly I realize that I have to help them see something maybe 6 or 7 different ways without repeating the same words. I have them experience it. I have them talk to each other about it. So it's made me a better teacher because I have to be a beginner. And I think, back to you've talked about curiosity, creativity is so important, all of this. And I, many years ago, decided that creativity is the absolute renewable resource that we all have. And if we give up on wanting to be the expert and instead use that creativity and that curiosity to get better and to help others get better, then it's so positive. It's such a good feeling. Yeah, I think
I got
you're
that.
picking up things.
Yeah, I got that. That's a great one. Okay, you mentioned you were reading your work this morning before the interview. So can you tell us how do you get inspiration for writing fiction?
Well, what I'm learning is I need to figure out better how to get find the ideas, and then the whole structure, developing characters and all of that, that's a real skill that I'm working very hard on. I published one fiction book. It's kind of a legal medical thriller, and it was based on a true story out of Australia that I had read about. As I was working on that one, and now I'm doing one on art crime in Vietnam, what I've learned is that as a nonfiction academic writer, you always start with data. You start with something and then you're describing what it is and what it means. With fiction, I have to use my imagination more and stretch that. And so my inspiration does come from reading really good writers, watching television or movies that are really well done. That's helping me learn the technical craft part of writing, how to structure a book, how to structure a scene, how to build a character. All those things which I didn't have to do when I was writing about mergers and acquisitions or economics. And so it's really from people who have done this before and do it very well. I also have been lucky enough to find a few teachers, mentors that I've worked with, editors and so forth, who are excellent, and they have 25 years of experience. And so if I can pick up on a little bit of that, it speeds up my learning, I hope, because it's hard. But as I said, when I feel like I'm learning, when I lose time when I'm working with something, then I know that it's a good thing for me to be doing.
Exactly, I got that. Okay, Nancy, it has been an interesting moment with you on the show. So to bring this to an end, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those who would like to reach out to you, learn more about what you're doing, or even purchase your amazing books once they are live, published rather, how can that be possible?
Probably the best way to reach me is on the website, nancyknapier.com. And then as far as a last piece of advice, I think some of in a way, what you started with, the importance of not just knowledge, though, but as we move through life, turning that into wisdom and being curious constantly. I guess those would be, it's always keep learning is what I tell people. No matter what you're doing, have some purpose of learning, whether it's a sport or it's how to cook or it's how to write fiction. Once we start moving forward on that learning progress, we get stagnant and maybe even fall back. So I think it's always keep learning, always be curious would be two of my pieces to read. And you've got it there.
Yeah,
You
I love that. So that's going to be the end of the show, Nancy. Thank you for coming and thank you for educating us. It's a very important one. Thank you so much.
You're very kind. Thanks so much, Elijah.